Hi everyone. بچه ها سلام. خیلی خیلی خوش اومدید به لایو امروز. یه لایو فوق العاده از اشتباهات رایج در آیلتس و مکالمات روزمره. Let's talk about common mistakes. Common mistakes. اشتباهات رایج. Common mistakes are very important. خیلی مهم بچه ها. Common mistakes. Common mistakes. Today, I'm going to talk about common mistakes in English and IELTS exam. It's very important for all students to speak English properly. درست صحبت کنن. Speak English properly. فرق beside با besides چیه؟ Beside and besides. از کتاب Common Mistakes and Grammar Tips I am going to explain to you, توضیح بدم اشتباهات رایج و this is really important to learn how to use the words. مشکلی که بچه ها دارن کلمات رو نمیتونن درست استفاده کنن. They can't use the words properly. They can't use the words properly. درست استفاده نمیتونن بکنن. But I'm going to teach you, میخوام آموزش بدم, I'm going to teach you how to use the words properly, all right? Beside and besides. He stood beside his car. He stood beside his car. او وایستاد. He stood beside his car proudly. با غرور He stood یعنی با غرور وایستاد بغل ماشینش. He stood beside his car. Beside یعنی نزدیک. Next to. Close to. Alright? He stood beside یعنی نزدیک. He stood گذشته stand stood. He stood beside his car proudly. Proudly یعنی با غرور. Proudly. He stood next to or close to. پس بچه ها beside به معنی next to or close to. Close to یعنی نزدیکه. He stood next to his car proudly. Stood گذشته stand. Stand وایستادن. He stood یعنی وایستاد. He stood beside his car proudly. Proudly یعنی با غرور. People choose jobs for other reasons besides money. People choose jobs. People choose jobs for other reasons besides money. مردم انتخاب میکنن. choose انتخاب کردن. People choose jobs for other reasons برای دلایل دیگری. reasons دلایل. reason دلیل. reasons دلایل. People choose jobs for other reasons. People choose jobs for other reasons برای دلایل دیگری علاوه بر پول. Besides means in addition to. In addition to. پس اشتباه نکنید. Beside یعنی نزدیکه. He stood beside his car یعنی بغل ماشینش. Next to or close to. بگیم بچه ها. Close یعنی بستن در. Close the door. در رو ببند. Close the door. But close یعنی نزدیکه. He stood beside his car proudly. Beside means next to or close to. But besides یعنی علاوه بر. Besides. People choose jobs for other reasons besides money. یعنی علاوه بر پول مردم به خاطر دلایل دیگه‌ای for other reasons. For other reasons choose job. شما شغلتون رو به چه دلایلی انتخاب میکنید؟ For what reasons? For what reasons do you choose your job? آیا فقط پول مهمه؟ Is only money important to you? Is only money important to you? Or no, you choose your job. Choose انتخاب کردن. You choose your job for other reasons. به چه دلایلی؟ For what reasons? تکرار کنید. For what reasons do you choose your job? Your job. I choose my job because I love that. چون دوستش دارم. Because I have passion. چون عشق دارم. Passion یعنی عشق. Passion. Alright? I have passion for my job. I love my job. I choose my job not only because of money. نه فقط به خاطر پول. Not because of money, but because of passion. Passion یعنی عشق. I choose my job. What reasons? For what reasons? به چه دلایلی شغلت رو انتخاب میکنی؟ For what reasons do you choose your job? Yes? پس میگیم beside یعنی نزدیک. next to او وایستاد. He stood beside his car proudly. He stood beside his car proudly. تکرار و جمله سازی راز موفقیت در مکالمه واحد. It's the secret of success. You make sentences to speak English. Alright? حالا lend and borrow. ببینیم قرض دادن با قرض گرفتن چه فرقی داره. بچه از کتاب Grammar Mistakes فوق‌العاده عالیه. همه کتابایی هم که میبینید خودم نوشتم و با 130 ساعت فایل صوتی 100% تضمینی. 100% guarantee. بانک‌ها کارشون چیه؟ بانک‌ها کارشون پول قرض دادنه. Banks lend money. پول قرض میدن. lend قرض دادن. borrow قرض گرفتن. borrow money from someone از یک شخصی. I borrow money from my friend. از دوستم پول قرض میگیرم. borrow. I never borrow. من هیچ وقت قرض نمیگیرم. I never borrow money from my friends. lend قرض دادن. lend and borrow. Yes? حالا مثال ها رو ببینیم. Libraries یعنی کتابخونه ها. Libraries lend books. کتاب قرض میدن به مردم. They lend books. My mother lent me. گذشته lend میشه lent. My mother lent me some money and I must pay her back soon. Pay back یعنی برگردوندن. Pay back. I must pay her back یعنی به ایشون باید برگردونم. مادرم. My mom lent me some money. پول قرض داد. My mom lent me. گذشته lent میشه lent. My mom lent me some money and I have to مجبورم pay her back. Pay پرداخت کردن. Pay her back یعنی باز پرداخت. پولی که قرض میگیریم. When you lend money you must pay it back on time. به موقع. Soon, alright? Very good. Did you lend him cash? بهش پول قرض دادی؟ Did you lend him? چون دید اومده بچه lend میشه lend. Did you lend him cash? دیگه did you lend نمیگی چون دید خودش تی رو میندازه. Did you lend him cash? پول قرض دادی بهش؟ Yes, I lent him. قرض دادم. I lent him $10. Borrow money یعنی قرض گرفتن. You can borrow money from a bank. از یه بانکی. You can borrow money. Borrow. You can borrow money from a bank. You can borrow money from a bank to buy a house. تا یه خونه بخری. You can borrow money from a bank For what? برای چی؟ To buy. تا بخری a house. یه خونه. Why did you borrow? چرا پول قرض گرفتی از بانک؟ Why did you borrow? چقدر پول قرض گرفتی؟ How much did you borrow? How much did you take out a loan? همه این لایف ها بچه با زیرنویس در کانال لایف ها بارگذاری خواهد شد. نگران نباشید. Don't worry, alright? How much money did you borrow? Borrow یعنی قرض گرفتم. How much money did you borrow? I borrowed قرض گرفتم 10 million, 20 million, 30, 40, 50, alright? Borrow money. For what? For what? برای چی? For what? For what? Because I want to buy. میخوام بخرم. I want to buy a house. یا میخوام ماشین بخرم. I want to buy a car. I want to buy a car. And you have to pay back on time. به موقع. If you don't pay it back on time, you have to pay interest. بهره بانکی رو میگم بچه‌ها interest. Bank interest. این سود بانکی. Bank interest. Bored با boring چقدر مردم اشتباه میکنن. So many students make mistakes. Boring. میگیم کلاس boring عمو. Class is boring. I never enjoy your class. لذت نمیبرم. I don't enjoy your class because your class is boring. And you leave the class. ترک میکنی کلاس. You leave the class because the class is boring. The class is boring? My class is boring? It's not boring. It is exciting. It is exciting. Exciting یعنی جذاب. Boring, I'm sorry. You know what? میدونی چیه؟ You know what, Saeed? Yeah, tell me, what's up? Tell me, what happened? یعنی چی شد? Your class is boring. Your class is boring. It is not exciting. It is not exciting. مهیج نیست. Your class is boring. I can't stand your class. نمیتونم تحمل کنم. I can't stand your class. I can't stand تحمل کردن بچه ها. I can't stand your class. مجبورم leave کنم. I have to leave your class. هیچی یاد نمیگیرم از کلاس شما. I don't learn anything. I don't learn anything. And هیچی یاد نمیگیرم. I don't learn anything. I have to leave your class. Leave ترک کردن. Stand تحمل کردن. I can't stand your class. بچه زبان صورت بسیار مهمه. وقتی صحبت میکنید روباتیک نباید صحبت کنید. You should use your facial language. You should use your body language to speak English perfectly. پس یادداشت کنید بچه ها. یه عکس بگیریم. Please take a picture. Take a picture. This is really perfect. Lend, borrow. قرض دادن، قرض گرفتن. Lend, borrow. Beside نزدیکه. Besides علاوه بر. I speak Turkish besides English. I speak Turkish. یعنی من ترکی هم بلدم. I speak Turkish besides علاوه بر. Besides English. Oh, really? Do you speak Turkish? Yes, of course. I speak Turkish not like my mother tongue. نه مثل زبون مادریم. Not like my mother tongue. But اما if I go to Istanbul, اگه برم استانبول, if I go to Istanbul or any part of Turkey, I can deal with it. I can manage my business. میتونم از عهده‌اش برمیام. I can deal with it. I can speak Turkish with people. Because in Istanbul, people do not speak English. And you have to, مجبوری, you have to speak Turkish. ve ben Türkçe iyi konuşuyorum ama ana dili gibi hayır. Ana dili gibi means like my mother tongue. I can't speak Turkish like my mother tongue, but I can speak Turkish. I can communicate. ارتباط. Communicate with people. بچه communicate یعنی ارتباط برقرار کردن. I can communicate. I can communicate with people easily. راحت. Easily. Alright? I can communicate with people easily. به راحتی. Easily. Because I master, چون مسلطم به ترکی, I master Turkish. I understand very well. I speak very well. I can communicate. I understand. I speak. I communicate. راز موفقیتتون پک یام با کانال های تلگرامیه که عدد 2 رو بچه ها کافی ارسال کنید. You send number 2. عدد 2 طلایی تا سرنوشت تو عوض کنه. Change your destiny to speak English perfectly. زبان چالش همه است. This is important to speak English and you can in 3 months. در 3 ماه. In 3 months with Yum Pack and good channels. Wow. You will rock it. پس میگیم banks lend money. بانک ها پول قرض میدن. Banks lend money. تو قرض میگیری. You borrow money. borrow قرض گرفتن. lend قرض دادن. پس جمله سازی کن. Banks lend money. You borrow money. I borrow money. Banks lend money. Very good. گذشته lend میشه lent. Bored. I got bored. حوصله‌ام سر رفت. I got bored. I got bored on the trip. تو سفر حوصله‌ام سر رفت. I got bored on the trip. یعنی تو سفر حوصله‌ام سر. I got bored on the trip. It was a boring trip. سفر کسل کننده بود. Boring trip. اگه انسان کسل بشه میشیم bored. اگه در مورد یه شیئی صحبت کنیم میشه boring. دیگه کلاس نمیتونی بگی the class is bored. میگی the class is boring. چون شیئه بچه ها. The class is boring. The class is boring. Full of energy. The class is boring. کلاس خسته کننده است. The class is boring. I can't stand. تحمل نمیتونم بکنم. I have to leave. You start crying. شروع میکنه گریه کردن. You start crying because your class is boring. Your class is boring. Yes. انقدر حوصلش سر رفت خوابش برد. She was so bored. She was so bored that she fell asleep. She was so bored that she fell asleep. She was so bored that she fell asleep. بچه fall asleep یعنی خواب رفتم. Fall asleep, alright? I was so bored. انقدر حوصله‌ام سر رفت. I was so bored that I fell asleep. Fell. که بچه fall گذشتهش میشه fell. اول بگو fall بعد fell. حتما صرف افعال رو در کتاب بگو مگوهای 20 دیالوگ یاد بگیریم بچه ها. بسیار مهمه. Go went gone, do did done, see saw seen, think thought, catch caught, worked, cut, cuss, do did done, see saw seen, swam, shrunk, take, taken, written, do did done, go take, oh my god, yes. You're gonna learn بچه یاد بگیرین صرف افعال پر انرژی برین جلو. انرژی حرف اوله. قبل تمرین حتما رو بدنت کار کن که انرژی رو بیاری تو مغزت. You gotta work in your body. Higher your energy. انرژی رو بیار بالا. Higher your energy. Drink coffee. Whatever you do, listen to music. But you gotta work. Work on your mind. مغزه که همه چی رو دستور میده. Mind. Work on your mind. Don't nag. قرم نزن. Don't nag. یعنی قرد نزنید بچه‌های خوب باشید. Right? Be good student. Very good. At the beginning of, in the beginning. بچه یه عکس بگیرید اینم توضیح بدم. At the beginning of or in the beginning. At the beginning of or چقدر شفاف عالی بچه. It's perfect. مرسی از لایکاتون. مرسی از انرژی خوبتون. Thank you so much. که ما رو به دوستاتون معرفی میکنید. You introduce us to your friends. هر روز 5 تا 10 تا دوستاتون رو تگ میکنید. You tag 5 or 10 friends. Join Amu Yum Yum's page to speak English. Yes, this is perfect. ببینیم بچه ها فرق at the beginning of با in the beginning چیه؟ میگه در شروع ورزش at the beginning of exercise I didn't have energy. انرژی نداشتم. At the beginning of exercise I was disappointed. ناامید بودم. At the beginning of the movie, در شروع فیلم, at the beginning of the movie, I fell asleep. خوابم برد. At the beginning of something. شما وقتی میگی at the beginning, حتما باید یه of بیاد. At the beginning of. اما in the beginning دیگه of نداره. بلافاصله کاما میاد. پس at the beginning of something. At the beginning of movie. At the beginning of learning English. در شروع یادگیری زبان. At the beginning of exercise. در شروع ورزش. At the beginning of something. Alright? اما in the beginning خودش مستقله. In the beginning در ابتدا این کارو کردم. In the beginning I did this. این کارو کردم. در ابتدای چیزی نمیگیم. میگی در ابتدا یا در اول. In the beginning I did this. I did that. I did this. I did that. Very good. عالی بچه ها. This is really perfect. 100% من تضمین میکنم. 100% guaranteed. عدد 2 رو فقط ارسال کنید در دایرکت اینستاگرام. سرکار خانم ابریشمکار براتون کل اطلاعات پک 12 جلدی رو که برای اولین بار در ایران یه نویسنده ایرانی تونسته این همه کتاب بنویسه و شما دوستان حمایت میکنید. You support us because it took me 8 years. 8 سال طول کشید. It took me 8 years to write all these books. اسمم در امازون در قول وبسایت دنیا ثبت بشه در amazon.com. And of course you can go to our website. But it is easier. آسان‌تره که عدد 2 رو دایرکت کنید. You can send to number 2 our directs and our it means our consultants will talk to you to send the books. هر جای دنیا باشید کتاب‌ها و CD ها رو بفرستیم. CD ها قابل کپی هستن. میتونید بریزین داخل گوشیاتون، فلشتون، نمیدونم موبایلتون یا تو ماشین گوش کنید. This is really perfect. و نیاز به دیکشنری هم نداری. همین تدریس ها که میبینی انگلیسی فارسیه کاملا 100% خودآموزه. یعنی شما مثل کتاب های آموزشگاه نیست که باید یه استاد داشته باشی. کتاب ها بچه با CD هاشون نیاز به دیکشنری هم نداره. چه برسه به استاد. چه برسه چی میشه؟ چه برسه میشه let alone. میگه بابا تو چرخه ندارم چه برسه به ماشین. I don't have a bicycle let alone a car. اینم اصطلاح آخر شما. I don't have a bicycle. I don't have a bicycle, let alone a car. I don't have a bicycle. I don't have ندارم. I don't have a bicycle, let alone a car. چه برسه به ماشین. من میگم دیکشنری نیاز نداره. You don't need a dictionary, let alone a teacher. چه برسه به استاد. Alright? This is really perfect. Thank you بچه. خیلی خیلی دوستتون دارم. یه عکس خوشگل از وایت بورد ما بگیرید و دوستانتون رو دعوت کنید انرژی بدیم بچه ها. تگ کنید پیج رو بذاریم ما هر روز دوبار براتون لایو بذاریم انرژیمون بیشتر بشه. Thank you so much for joining us. I love to see you very very successful. فرق beside با besides رو توضیح دادم. Lend, borrow, bored, boring, bored, boring. At the beginning of, in the beginning. At the beginning of, in the beginning. I explained to you. I explained to you, of course. I explained to you everything. You see, besides. He stood beside his car proudly. Next to, beside گفتیم نزدیک، next to or close to. گفتیم lend قرض دادن، borrow قرض گرفتن. lend, borrow. bored یعنی حوصله‌ام سر رفت. I got bored. I got bored. boring کلاس خسته کننده است. The class is boring. The class is boring. عالی بچه ها. Wish you all the best. Take care. Bye bye.